Right, in this last video I'm going to show you two quite different things. First of all, we look at the sound input window again and how to actually get sound in there. And secondly, we'll look a little bit more on how to do cool stuff with multiple fixtures selected at the same time. Okay, so first the sound input. To recall, it's in system, sound input, here it is. Nothing coming in here, yeah? Even when the sound in is all the way up. Actually, even when there's nothing happening, this should be giving you a little sort of broken line. And whenever you mess with any of the sound settings at all on a PC level, you know, the PC system in and out, this actually just freezes it. It doesn't work anymore. So first of all, I need to shut this down and start it up again. So I'll just do that. And still not go. Now, usually when you open the sound input window and you turn the sound in, turn it all the way up, it gives you at least a little broken line. And usually that means that you've been messing with the system sound settings and it's gotten confused and it's just going, well, nothing coming in. But in this case, it's because we're on a virtual desktop interface, a VDI. Through the Horizon client. You remember I'm running this on a Mac, but I'm running PC software at Massey on a Massey PC, a virtual PC in the cloud. So this is just completely flatlined. Now I want to show you, if you weren't on this virtual PC, but if you're on a real PC, like your own laptop, you would go here to the right click on the speaker icon, go to your sound settings. And we have here output and input. Okay, sorry. I need to rewind for a second first. And that is GMA, sophisticated as it is, only recognizes exactly one type of sound input, and that is the PC's system level sound input. No ACO drivers, no virtual cables like virtual audio cable, nothing like that. Only what's physically coming into the box at the mic input, or this is about as good as it gets really, or the stereo mix options that for some time was offered until recently, unfortunately, by Realtek as a alternative system input. And that would show up in this list here. So I've only got microphone array here, VMware virtual microphone. And if you haven't used stereo mix before either, but your system is compatible with it, it wouldn't be in there either until you went to manage sound devices, and it would show up in here saying disabled, and you would right click it and say enable. It would give you an enable option. Yeah, so it's called stereo mix. If it's not there in that list when you do this on your PC, go to the Realtek website, or go to a web search about stereo mix input. There's a Realtek driver you can download for it, and hopefully that'll work for you. Otherwise, what you have to use is the physical input of your laptop, which is a little bit complicated because it's that stereo mini jack, 3-pin, so stereo plus mono input mini jack, a 3-pin mini jack that has, you know, the input on one and the stereo output on the two others. And you need to get a breakout cable and run that with an interface or do it whatever way. And that's a bit of a faff, to be honest, but it's the only way to get BPM sync if you can't run that stereo mix thing. That said, using a Mac and this virtual kind of setup, we can actually emulate that kind of thing on the Mac level. Let's have a look at that. So instead of selecting stereo mix here, what selecting stereo mix there would do, before I go to the Mac, is that it takes whatever is playing in a browser or in a player, like a music player, or in Chrome or whatever on YouTube. And it takes that and it puts that to creates this virtual input from it. And you can still hear it out of the actual physical output as well, but it also just loops it back in. So it's sort of like a listening function, listen to yourself kind of function. And that's exactly what we're going to emulate with our Macintosh. Let me go here, I'll just hide the client. And there are three, if we look at the sound settings here, sound, yeah. There are actually three different ways you can do this on a Mac. There used to be SoundFlower, which is no longer made. That's sort of a virtual audio cable equivalent, where you can send inter-application audio between different applications. There is loopback audio, which is the successor to SoundFlower, but it's paid for. It costs something. But recently also there's been a new one, which is free, called Black Hole. And for that, you go to a website called existential.audio/blackhole, and you need to register and get the free Mac download. They promise a window when it's coming soon, but it doesn't exist yet. Otherwise, we would have installed that in the VDI. And here you can have either 2 channels or 16 channels, all the standard sample rates, no latency, compatible with all the versions. So it's very nice, and I've installed this. And let's have a look in. So here we're just selecting, we can select output and input. That's not really what we want, and just Black Hole by itself. What I actually need to do here is the Mac and Black Hole. And here as well, Mac and Black Hole. In order to set that up, it's an aggregate device. You can't just select that. This entry, Mac plus Black Hole, won't just appear in your input and output lists. You actually need to create that first in your utilities folder, applications, utilities. You find audio MIDI setup. You probably know all this. And here you need to make yourself an aggregate device. I've made myself one here, Mac and Black Hole. It includes the built-in output, not input, just built-in output, and the Black Hole 2-channel. I only need 2 channels, I don't need 16 channels. And it shows me here what it's got. So I've got my sub-devices are first the built-in output, then the Black Hole 2-channel. So my input channels are these 2 orange ones from here. The output channels 1, 2, and 3, and 4 coming from built-in output. So here I've got 2 inputs from the Black Hole 2-channel and 2 outputs from each. Oh, this drift correction, yeah, it sets it automatically. Don't worry about it. So that means we can send something to our VDI. But what we need is we need to output from somewhere that goes both to the Black Hole and to the built-in output. And so a standard browser doesn't do that. It just sends it to the built-in stuff. So what we involve here is a DAW like Ableton or something. And here we go into the preferences to audio, and we select this aggregate device that we made that includes the Mac output and the Black Hole output. It's got the 2 inputs from the Black Hole and the 2 outputs from the Black Hole and the output from the Mac. If we just look at that, 2, 4, 1 and 2 is Mac, 3 and 4 is Black Hole. And yeah, we don't need to worry about the inputs. And so we've got some audio in here. I'm not sure if you can hear this because of the telestream issue, i.e. that is my video recording here uses yet another part of the virtualizing audio, so to record both desktop video and microphone, desktop audio and microphone audio. This is getting more and more confusing, but so you may not hear what I'm playing here. But so you can see what I'm playing here anyway. This is going out to just my master, which goes to the here out 1 and 2. And then I'm also sending this with my send, one of my two sends, to an external output. External output, which is set to 3 and 4, which, as you'll remember, was my black hole virtual audio. Let's rewind a bit again here. And let's go back into the VDI. And here that shows up here. Just to go back there to live, just to demonstrate. If I'd set them all to out 3, 4, I wouldn't hear a thing, because I'm wanting to listen to this directly to my headphone outputs or wherever I'm going. So that's just my main output here. And if I turn this to 1 and 2, then the VDI wouldn't see it. But this way it does. So let's go back there. And I'm just going to, before I do, I'm actually going to make this a whole lot longer so it plays a lot longer. So here is what's arriving at our virtual microphone input, the microphone array from VMware Virtual Microphone. That's the Horizon client. Okay, back to GMA. After you've made any such changes, you need to restart the software, because otherwise it just doesn't like you. I hope I didn't double click some stuff just there. No, I didn't. Okay, now if we open up our system tab, I'm just going off a totally blank slate here. Turn up the sound in. There it is. And it's tracking to our speed, which is at 120 BPM. I went back into Ableton here. '72. $144, that is 72, half speed, 72. That's quite handy, these two buttons for doubling our speed and halving it. But yeah, in order for this to work, the sound in has to be up. And you can't mess around with any of the system settings, this stuff here. Well, that's open, otherwise you have to restart it. So what that means, in order to get a song to sync there, is mean that you just import that into Ableton or whatever other DAW that you like using that you have in your main Mac. And that's how we get audio into GMA through a Mac. If all this is way too complicated for you, go, what the hell is all this black hole stuff and having to use DAWs and doing all this kind of stuff, then work with a PC that's got something connected to the audio input, and connect your phone or your iPad or whatever to that and play the music directly in, and it'll appear on the input there. But just a word of warning there, you'll still want to hear it as well at the same time. If that were your input device, just a normal microphone, let's pretend this is a normal microphone, you then have to go into its properties, go to listen and turn on listen to this device and determine where it's going to play out from. That's the way to listen to an input and, to play an input and listen to it at the same time. Okay, that's the sound input.